Yeah, it started raining.
We're live.
Awesome. Good morning, gentlemen.
Well, they haven't given us the screen yet, but we're basically live. So.
And I'll sit still for the squeaky chair. Damn it.
It's okay. I forgive you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Joe. It's okay. You don't have to talk again, Joe. It's okay.
Oh, it's all right. Hey, good morning. Happy to be here.
Right. Everybody, we need to thank our sponsors, GBC, DBR Racing, and Elka Suspension for bringing us another episode of the morning show. Today, we got Joe Tolle and Robin Fawcett back. We need to finish our discussion on Raptor 700s, hybrids, racing them in the desert or really anywhere, or riding them as a recreational enthusiast. But before that, we need to talk about a couple of things that happened today. In Italy, Team USA clinched its 5th Quad Cross of Nations title, being perfect, that meaning that they were fastest in all 3 qualifying races and then won all 3 motos and second in all 3 motos. You can't do it any better than that.
Yeah, that's absolutely great news. Congratulations to everybody over there and all the sponsors that were able to make that happen for everybody.
You know, I mean, Mark Baldwin and crew have done such an amazing job with those guys making it happen that you'd have to pat them on the back. All the years and years and years Mark spent on them, you know, the motocross series with Tim Farr and multiple other riders, now with Bryce Ford, you know, being his understudy, and just the work that they do it's pretty awesome how it all worked out. And Harv, the AMA rep, you know, those 2 guys work really well together, and he's a true believer in the USA ATV program. Not like the rest of the AMA, but at least he does a great job for us and works really hard. So that being said, big shout out to those guys. Unlike you 2 guys, I did my homework. I got up on the West Coast at 1:00 in the morning to watch the races, then went back and took a nap, came back, watched the second moto, took a nap, and came back and watched the third moto.
All right. So you're saying you're of the age where you started taking naps now, huh?
Yes. Oh. way past that age, brother. Way past that age.
Well, yeah, no, that's just absolutely great news. I mean, just to put it in perspective, that's like winning the Olympics of ATV racing, and you know, not only to do that, but also do it in a whole nother country with time difference and just being out of your home area there. It's not like, oh yeah, we just traveled a couple of states over to go run a national or something. I mean, they flew across the world, which just awesome, and congratulations again.
Yeah, that sea container that they put together for that whole deal is they're still using the same one, and it's like a mini shop that they can work out of. You know, they put 3 bikes in there, all their gear, all their stuff that they need, you know, supplies, tools, unbelievable. I think it's a pretty awesome setup there. Joe, I'm a little scared. Did you have a late night last night, or what's going on, brother?
No. Here, let me move. I got this squeaky chair. I was just letting you guys roll with it. There, I feel more comfortable now. I need to bring some of that. I got a ton of Maxima products down in the garage that we use to maintain the bikes. I need to bring some of that multi-purpose penetrating lube up and do something with this desk chair. But no, it's really super exciting to hear that they had such a strong finish. You know, growing up, I followed the 2-wheel stuff before I got into the 4-wheeled segment, and you know, Team USA on the 2-wheelers was always, we were the guys to beat. And now it's like it's not Americans dominating American motocross at this point, and on the 2-wheeled side, but Yeah, it makes you feel really good as an ATV guy that your countrymen can fly halfway across the world or to the other side of the world and go win on foreign soil and dominate. So yeah, how could you be any more proud of that? That's great.
Yeah, I mean, not only did they dominate every qualifying race, Joel came out first in the first qualifier in lead. I believe I didn't get all the feedback from Chad's, but Bryce had to work for his to get by. And if you watch it, the course it's wide, but it turns one line really easy. You know, to set up a pass, you have to set them up. You're not going to just, drive up to them like on some of the American tracks where Joel can just drive up, pass, and keep on going. He ultimately had to work for it. So did Bryce, so did Chad, which was really good to see how smart and tactical they are. So they're moving and setting up and everything. Unfortunately, some of the teams, the British team with Harry Walker and I apologize, I don't know all the teammates. They had some bad luck with a guy broke down, and then Harry was, I believe, if Harry would have finished in fourth where he was, that would have put them on the podium. And unfortunately, he crashed on the last lap.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Lenny, I'd like to know, based on your experience, how big is ATV motocross in Europe? Because I've heard the sport quad scene in Europe compared to the side-by-side scene, like here, side-by-sides are so big. I've heard in Europe that the sport quad industry is pretty healthy, maybe more so than here. What's your opinion on that?
I don't know what the recreational side of it is at all, if there is one. But as far as racing goes, they get a fairly good turnout with the British Championship and the European Championship. And they're not bound by production rules like we are over here. I mean, they have some other funky rules about some of the things they have to do with passing ridiculously low sound levels, which I still have no understanding why, but that's neither here nor there. And then some of the guards they have to run on their machines don't make sense to me either. But, who am I to argue with those guys? They know more than me, obviously. So the racing market over there is big. What is really big over there is the spectators.
All those Europeans, they love racing. Yeah, I mean, can
go ahead, Joe.
Any type rally cars. I mean, look what they do at rally races, standing inches off, where a car is going to come flying past at 120 miles an hour. So, yeah, the Europeans, all of them are big time race fanatics. So that's not surprising.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it doesn't matter what country you go to. There's spectators.
Oh yeah, and then there's a lot too. I mean, it's not just like, oh yeah, somebody showed up to it. There's full on crowds, and they're all wearing the shirt and chanting and everything else. I mean, it's amazing.
In some of their outings, they're rivaling what you see at an outdoor motocross track in America.
Yeah, just for a local program.
Well, more your bigger races, but still, yeah. I mean, you just have so many fans. I think the condensed area might help.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting Europe in the western portion or the eastern portion of our country, and that's the whole gig. That's everybody. You can drive to almost all of those places relatively easy. I shouldn't say easy. I mean, it's a little more difficult. Their road system's a nightmare to be easy on them, but still the travel isn't as hard as some of you would think. It's kind of like traveling here to the Nationals, 12, 15, 18-hour drive. That's really not that bad if you want to go to an event and you don't want to fly.
Do you think it's more geographic, culture, or promotion?
I think it's culture and geographic.
I think also a lot of the professional athletes there, I think they do a great job of interacting with, their fans and locals and everything else. And they really bring a sense of pride, especially to the folks from their, home area there. I think they do a good job at that. And it might be something that we could, learn a little bit from here on US soil.
Hey, when a quad racer's athlete of the year in Poland.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're talking about Poland, but still, when you have an ATV racer that's athlete of the year more than one time, that's pretty heroic stuff for and is a national icon for their country. I mean, granted, I'm a little biased because he's my buddy, and I think you've met him, Robin, Raphael.
Yeah, Sonic.
And dude, we're hiking this mountain, and people on our hike are stopping and getting his autograph, taking photos.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, in Poland, he is a freaking an icon to the country. The only other guy that was more famous than him, or as famous, was the ski jumper that won some gold medals and set some world records. I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff to watch it happen. I mean, it's pretty cool. It just really is. In Europe, I think Europe does a better job with their news media and their other bodies to promote these professional athletes, where over here in the States, ATV racing, which we all know because of the 60 Minutes and ABC articles or shows, have treated us like we're killing people every day on purpose. I mean, next, I think that we're probably hated more than guns are in some areas. So it's just a horrible thing, the way that they treat these professional athletes that do so well. I don't even think they treat motorcycle athletes like the Supercross stars and the outdoor motocross guys well enough either. But ESPN, come on, we can't even get a mention, a nod, a hello. Really? When was the last time you went to a basketball game? There's 12 people there because the auditorium won't hold any more than that.
Well, if you're talking NBA, it's full. It's sold out. If you're talking WNBA, that's different.
I was being sarcastic.
Sorry, ladies. Sorry.
No, I went to an NBA game, and I was amazed at how small the seating was. You notice they never pan around and show you how large those places are, because they're not. It's like a high school gymnasium seating.
Tickets are expensive and it's sold out.
Yeah. I get it. But so let's move on to bigger and better things. Bryson Neal clinches his second title yesterday, and Walker Fowler comes off the freaking injured reserve to take the win.
Oh, wow.
For the day.
Nice.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming, did you, Joe?
No, I think it's really good for Walker because, I mean, he was out so long. Obviously, his injuries were serious. So, getting a win, coming back this year. I mean, obviously, he's been the fastest guy for a long time. So the speed has never been in question. It's just, physically, how much has he recovered? And looks like he's recovered. So hopefully he can get back to battling with Bryson on the regular.
Yeah, well, we hope that the 2024 season is going to shake down. Bryson Neal did have a mishap early in the race, I believe. I don't have all the details. So he was counted out early, but all he had to do was do one lap and he clinched the title. Hunter Hart was leading to the best of my knowledge. And Walker was 45 seconds back of second place and ended up winning.
Yeah, he was that's back up to full speed for sure to run down 45 seconds. That's incredible.
And the last lap too.
And so second place was Hunter Hart, right?
Yep. And
Yeah,
Cole,
so to run down 45 seconds on Hunter Hart as good as he's been racing this year, that's pretty much back to normal for Walker Fowler. That's incredible.
yeah, I haven't got all the specifics yet to find out all the details. When I talk to Cody Collier and do our race report, I'll get the lowdown on all of that. But yeah, I was super excited. I've been saying for weeks that after he got fourth, the round before, look out, he's coming. He's going to be on the podium. He is going to be on the podium, and I was picking him as the number one spot. But it's a lot of fun. Walker is a fan favorite, and a lot of people love him. And one of those champions, multi-year champions that endeared themselves to the fan base. Not like some of the guys that maybe after they had their stint as a champion became more of a fan favorite, but Walker is still one of the favorites back there in the GNCC. And we wish him the best of the luck. And you know what, we're talking about Walker, but you have a two-time champion in Bryson Neal, who's risen the bar there, that we thought couldn't be risen with Walker. So look out, guys. Bryson's going to be tough to beat in the future. Hunter's coming, Cole's coming, John Galetta Jr.'s coming. So you have a lot of great, fast guys working their way to the top. So, I think that's going to be a great series to watch. I know the work series is going on in Mesquite. They haven't even went off the line yet. Most of those guys haven't got out of bed yet. So.
Yeah, and I thought too on the GNCC, I'd have to go back. I was trying to pull it up, but I'm trying to do too many things here at once. I thought too, one of the gals that was racing out there, she was leading points in the women's class, and then also pretty high up there on Pro-Am or overall points as well.
No, they do an AM and a PM, and the gals racing the AM. And every once in a while, the gals will overall it. Not very often. The Pro 4x4 class generally will run the overall. I did not break down lap times. I don't know where they finished. I do know that when I talked to Cody on Friday, that the weather had came in and the track conditions were slippery and wet, and we're going to create a little bit of an issue for the morning race. They said that they would probably blow off all the mud for the afternoon guys. There again, I haven't got all the specifics yet, so I'm not really sure.
That time of the year again.
Chloe Harper came out of she's a rookie. She's come out of nowhere. Put in her second win, for the race, which is awesome. An amazing young lady. Joe, if you get a chance to do something with Chloe, you need to, because Adam McGill I don't think he has a school, but the few athletes that he works with, when you talk to them, they are the most professional, ready to talk about their sponsors, ready to talk about their sport, know what to say, when to say it, and they're super respectful. And, hats off to Adam McGill for helping grow the sport that way. Now, Adam, you need to come on the show because it's almost 3 years and you haven't done so yet. But that being said, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Joe.
We're always open to film with racers because it's a good tie-in between what the racers are doing and what's winning, and then the other 90% of people out there who just ride four-wheelers. So yeah, we love doing features on pro bikes when we can get together or just high-level riders bikes. We've even done 250. So yeah, we're always happy to try to film with a racer if we can hook that up and feature their bike, especially if they got a cool story to go along with it. I know Adam McGill I see a lot of his videos on Instagram where he gets on there and he discusses, his sponsors, parts that he uses, things like that. And, that makes all the difference in the world right now, I think, with our sport the way it is. It's like, if you want that sponsorship, if you want to get noticed, you got to be able to talk and represent for your people.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And you have a responsibility to your sponsors and to the sport to do it. And hey, pro tip, wink, wink, hint. If you have somebody like Joe saying that they like to do videos with racers, pay attention, get that going, do it.
I don't want to get off topic with with where we're supposed to go. But one of the biggest drawbacks to our industry is the fact that not enough people are schooling these professional athletes, whether they're males, females, or pro 4x4, whatever it is, to sit down and talk to the media, whoever the media may. If a media guy reaches out to you and wants to do an article on you, do a podcast show with you, you better be freaking knocking down that guy's door to get it done, because that's free advertising for yourself, which promotes your sponsors. And Joe, you and I have had this, we beat this conversation to death. When somebody wants to give you free ink, you know,
I mean, you're obligated to take it.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're obligated to take it. You know, if I was a sponsor, you know, if I had an aftermarket parts company, because I was a consumer before I was an editor, and, you know, I bought parts. And if you have a sponsor and they're giving you if they're giving you any kind of a discount, if somebody wants to talk to you about what you're doing and what's the story behind it, I mean, you're obligated to do it. It's not just enough to show up and race, you know, especially in our sport, because there's not that much coverage of what we do. So any chance you get, take it. And I think it makes a big difference when you send a resume out to companies the next year and you're like, well, in 2023, I was on the ATV-TALK podcast, or I got, you know, a video done on ATV On Demand of my bike, or my bike was profiled in Dirt Wheels magazine, or, you know, if the opportunity comes, you got to take it. And I think that's one of the biggest advantages for a young guy out there who's wanting to get sponsored, you know, in the era of social media and being able to broadcast yourself and broadcast through others. You know, you might not be on the podium, but if you're a likable person and you can articulate why there's a benefit in the companies that are helping you out, in bringing attention to those companies for other riders out there that are looking for, you know, what pipe, what Nerf bars, what do I want to use? It's going to be, I think it's almost more important than getting a top three. You know, it's like, again, look at Adam McGill. He can win. He's not top three in points right now, but he does a great job for his sponsors. So.
Oh yeah, you have to take I mean, Leonard knows I never said no to anything that popped up, anything that we could do to get the word out. And
Robin, we're not going into those conversations. Okay. This is a family friendly show.
Oh, wow. Bathroom stall.
Oh man. But no, you really do. I mean, you need to get out, get involved in the community. You know, something that I went and did one time that was even aside from having a big media thing, I went and talked at a YMCA. They invited us over. It was like a Boys and Girls Club YMCA thing, and got to rip a couple of quads around in the playground. Not a big media thing, but it was a blast, and the kids absolutely loved it and everything else. So take the opportunities, make the opportunities, get out there and do it. It's just, you know, you can't complain about the sport dying or having a hard time finding sponsorship if you're not going out and doing these things. It's not just going to fall in your lap. And be loyal to your sponsors. Be loyal to your sponsors longer than a TikTok video, longer than a YouTube short. You need to live the brand. Stay there.
Build relationships that last years and years and years.
Exactly. I mean, that's you know, you could probably do a case study on that and come up with some pretty good information. But I mean, how long have we known each other now?
So, I mean, I don't remember the exact year, but the first time I ever met you was at a quad cross race, an ITP deal at Glen Helen. And I was dropping Doug's bike off because I had a family emergency and had to be at home, even though I had to drive all the way to Glen Helen to drop everything off and turn around and come back. You ran up to the box van and asked me some questions before I drove away. And that's the first time we met.
Yeah, it was
pretty amazed that my old beat up brain remembers that.
Yeah, that was I think I had you help me set up. I just gotten a set of Ilka shocks on my 250R, and that
I
was
think it was before you went to the Elkas. I think those first shocks were Axis.
that, you know what, it might have been because that was about 2002, 2003, somewhere right
A
around there.
long time ago.
Yeah, so about 20 years ago. And that's
Yeah.
how long that's been going on. So have patience. You're going to get out of it what you put into it, and it's not necessarily all going to come back out of it in the first season or the second season or even the fifth season. But what you're willing to put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Exactly. Joe and I became I've known of Joe for years, but you reached out to me on a whim, Joe, and I think you and I have formed a friendship and I believe a bond in what we do as far as for the media stuff that we do. Granted, I haven't been able to get you anything to have you do one of your videos on, but the insight that you have from the consumer base to the racer side of it, also from the media side, is invaluable. You know, I mean, I'm not a media. Okay, I wasn't involved in the media. Now I am, even though it's a podcast. They still consider it media. And I talk to Joe about things all the time, and his insights, we don't always align, but it's great to get that adverse opinion so that I can step back and think about, well, am I seeing this from the right side? Or am I seeing this from the seller's point of view, not the purchaser's point of view? Or am I seeing this from the racer's point of view, not the enthusiast point of view? So
Is this a Raptor 700 segue?
we're gonna segue right now to enthusiasts and the non-racing community, which I had a phone conversation yesterday about the industry itself and the health of the consumer base. And the consumer base likes a little bit of race stuff, but they want to talk about building their specific machines. They don't want to talk about, no offense, Joel and Chad and Bryce, they don't want to talk about that. It's great. Hey, USA, great. Okay. But what about building my bike for the dunes? Or what about building my bike to go trail riding? You know, that's what they wanted. They want to see those articles. The vintage program, which Joe and Robin, you both know this, the vintage thing is off the charts crazy. The old two-stroke stuff, everybody loves it. So Joe, you have
every Banshee's $6,000.
Yeah, even the ones that are in a crate.
Exactly. And not in a crate new, in a crate blown up.
In pieces, right? Yeah. Joe, this is going to fall onto your lap. Robin, you can relate a little bit from your side, because Washington does have a recreational side to it, but the health of the recreational or the enthusiast is bigger than most people think. And this is the part that everybody's missing when you go to these riding areas, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people there all the time. And the magazine Dirt Wheels is getting a constant influx of people asking for more content about the recreational user, not the racer. So that is a positive thing for us. Go ahead. I want to get your take on it, Joe.
Well, one thing that I always point out to the manufacturers when I'm waterboarding them at press events on why they don't build sport quads. One of the things I always point out to them is they say, well, there's just no demand. Where's the demand? And I'm like, get on Facebook Marketplace. Look at what machines are selling for. And if you look at the price of machines, there's demand. Let's look at this. You know, a three-wheeler, you could buy an ATC 250R 12 years ago for $1,500 in good running, solid condition. Nobody wanted them. You know, oh, try Z250. Oh, that's not as good as an ATC 250R. No offense, Yamaha guys. I mean, you could buy one for $800 12, 15 years ago. They sold for next to nothing. You know, part of what helped get the three-wheelers going was the lack of demand, because people could go buy them so affordably and go out and race and compete or just ride and have fun. And because they were so inexpensive. But now there's, you know, first of all, you got the museums cannibalizing, but just look at the price. Price is all that matters. That same $1,500 250R ATC three-wheeler from 12 years ago is $5,000 to $6,000 now all day long. And we're not talking mint. We're just talking good, solid running machine with no crack, you know, that doesn't have plastic that's falling off of it. It's all cracked up. The value of the machines has tripled or quadrupled, depending upon what you're talking about. So, you know, a Banshee, you used to be able to buy all day long a used Banshee for $3,000, $2,800, $3,500, 15 years ago, you know, and now, like we just said, there's $6,000, a blown up piece of crap in a crate that needs to be put together, and you're going to spend more fixing it than it's going to be worth when you're done. But you want, you know.
Well, that's the whole crazy thing, Joe. Before 2019, I mean, Banshees were, you give them away.
Right. And let me make one more point, because I'm kind of giving niche vehicles when you're talking about the three-wheelers and the Banshees, but conversation with Honda. What if somebody has a mint TRX 450R, what does it sell for? You know, if I can get $5,000 for a mint TRX 450R, when brand new, that machine was $6,500 when it first came out. There's a, you know, that just says there's way more demand than there is supply when I can sell a bike from 2004 for $5,000 that's mint condition. And the point that I make to them is these machines aren't old enough to be nostalgic now. 250Rs are nostalgic. People are buying them for the collectability. They're buying them because they want to remember what it was like when they were a kid, you know, back in the 80s. But these machines aren't that old. You know, they're going for what they're going for because of a lack of supply in the market of new machines.
Right. I totally agree with that. I totally 100% agree with that. That, you know, the enthusiasts, but the enthusiasts all want to go back to a more affordable time of the year, or times of the years. It's still cheaper to rebuild your two-stroke than it is to buy a four-stroke and rebuild it.
Well, and it just depends on the kind of four-stroke, because, you know, if Honda brought back the 400EX fuel injected, you're not talking about an unreliable four-stroke. You're not talking about a four-stroke. Now, you'll disagree on a level, but I think we definitely agree the maintenance schedule and the amount of time that you can ignore a TRX 450R engine before failure compared to, you know, a 400X engine or 400EX engine compared to a 450R engine. Don't change the oil in both bikes for 6 months and see which one dies first. It's going to be the 450. So two strokes are a lot cheaper to rebuild. But when we talked old school four strokes of the 80s, air cooled and things like that, or even maybe like the Z400 on some kind of level, because it wasn't a really high revving four stroke with titanium valves and all of that. You know, old school four strokes, yeah, they cost more to rebuild, but you didn't have to rebuild them nearly as often. New school four strokes, you get the worst of both. You get
it's a single cylinder Indy car.
Right. There you go.
Good gas, change the oil every time you touch it, and a clean air filter. And take care of it like the ATV industry doesn't want to.
Right. So I think there's, Honda's not stupid, although they're kind of acting like, I don't know, maybe they know a lot more than me, but when you've got a CRF 250F for $4,600, $4,800 that's fuel injected, well, then I know you can give me a 400EX for $6,000, $6,500. Because we've always been able to deliver sport quads that were in line with the price of dirt bikes. So if you can give me a $4,800 dirt bike that's a 254 stroke, that 400 4-stroke isn't a lot more expensive to build. It's just a bigger hull. It's got the same amount of moving parts. It's just got a bigger stroke. So, a $6,000 400EX isn't out of the realm, and you're talking about a machine that requires half the maintenance of a 450, at least, and it'll still live longer.
I think that, yeah, we have a huge hole in the industry where the 400EX and a smaller bore style 400EX would, whether it be any manufacturer, you could bring back a Warrior, and or a Raptor 350, and these machines would fill a void in the industry that we don't have. You have younger people or people that aren't looking for the ultimate sport race machine. Excuse me. That would be awesome.
And there's a huge void because, you're going from, once you just looking at the recreational market, without doing a shootout, let's just say for argument's sake, the best beginner entry level sport ATV on the market right now is a Honda 250X, 250EX. It's a light trail bike at best. It's not a hardcore trail machine. Like, you can throw some skid plates on a 400EX and go shred. A Honda 250X, the new one, the 250EX with a shaft drive and all that, it's a light trail machine. It is not a hardcore trail machine. Now, I'm sure you can go out there and beat the crap out of it and yourself, but it doesn't lend itself to riding hard as well as like a 400. But the step between like the 250EX, well, the next two steps are Yamaha 450 and Yamaha 700. And this 700, which we're supposed to be talking about at some point here, is you can learn on that bike. It's forgiving enough to learn on for a responsible person who understands they can get hurt. But it's not necessarily ideal. Like, I wish there was a Raptor 350 for my wife. Let me just put it to you that way.
Yeah, I'm not going to go and take Robin's daughter and teach her how to ride 700 Raptor. I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
It's way too much. Yeah, it's got a throttle governor on it because it's got that screw in the thumb throttle that you can limit it, but still, it's a 700.
Right. And a 250 in a Honda 250X, unless you start dumping serious money into suspension and all that very quickly, even still, I mean, if she was like, I want to go race cross country, well, okay, not necessarily the best platform for that. So there's a huge hole. There's a huge hole in the market right now for that 300 to 400 cc machine.
Well, one of the manufacturers needs to step up and bring the enthusiasts back. And you know what, to be honest with you, where it's looking like it's going to come from?
Oh, it looks like it could come from China.
That's what I'm seeing, because they have those little bore bikes and they have some 4x4s that, okay, I get it, it's China and I'm cringing just saying it, but what are you going to do? You can buy a 4x4 quad that's a bit more than 450 cc's, and for what it is, it's not a bad machine. The Japanese manufacturers use China to build some stuff, so they learn some stuff.
Right. politics, world politics aside, obviously we in America have had a long-standing relationship with Japanese as manufacturers and their products. Like, hey, I love Sony cameras. Just want to say, Sony, if you're listening, sponsorship. But
A7R.
oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, we got to shift gears, guys. I get where you were going with that, Joe, but we got to shift gears. We got to talk about what we initially were supposed to talk with last week, and we're almost out of time, so we got to get it in. Raptor 700s. As far as a record, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Picked one up yesterday.
2024.
Yep.
Great. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it. Recreational wise, for sand dunes, some trails, great machine. We're also trying to do some development work with one for the desert. There's been a delay with the trucking companies, got us over the barrel on days, but that's neither here nor there. I like that platform. And for the general base of the population of the consumer, that engine's super durable. They can run it on the garbage fuel that everybody wants to run. Keep the air cleaner clean. In some cases, all you're doing is leaving it stock because it is super powerful.
Oh yeah, it's a 700. I mean,
and it's also really good quality.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like, we've kind of talked it a little bit back and forth. I mean, it really seems like Yamaha's the only one that's stepping up right now with anything like that.
Well, they go ahead, Joe. You were going to say something. I don't want to interrupt you.
I was just going to say, of all the big bores that were ever on the market, I feel lucky that of all the big bores that we had, and I'm sure people would disagree, but I think of all of them, to have that one as the one that's still here, we got the best one of the bunch. Like, there's no other big bore that was ever made that I would rather see in the market than that one. If we could only keep one, that's the one I would have picked. And I've had the chance to ride them all. So, and I think a lot of other riders who have them or would have the chance to ride them all would kind of feel the same way. Maybe not a racer, especially out of the box, but general just fun on the trail. It's just super easy to have a good time on that ATV.
I really think it is a great machine just for your overall quality for your consumer. It's not like the Honda or the Yamaha or the Suzuki or the Kawasaki 450 where the maintenance level is going to destroy the consumer. You still need to maintain it. It's still a high performance engine, but and I'm choking on saying this, but if you missed an oil change, it's not going to kill you because the motor's so durable. They can take them down to Dakar and race 3,000 miles on them, and they're still running and working and functioning and doing everything they're supposed to, with oil changes and air filters, and
the reason,
go ahead.
The reason I think, the reason that you can stretch the maintenance, I mean, it's not ideal. I try to be a freak and change my oil every 2 rides or every ride, depending upon how long we're out there. But, the reason you can stretch that thing a little further with, don't skimp on air filter changes, by the way. It doesn't matter what you're riding, change the filter. If you roll it out of the garage, change the air filter, clean the air filter. It never skip that ever, no matter what you ride. But, you can get away with stretching the oil interval a little bit more on these bikes, and the valve adjustments probably aren't quite as frequent because, if you're talking about a 450cc machine, you're talking about making horsepower through producing RPMs. And the Raptor is such a big stroker, still revs good for being a big 700, but it doesn't rev like a 450. And, a 450 is really coming on to its best power when the Raptor is kind of like, hey, you can upshift anytime. Anytime you want to upshift, you can. So you can ride turning half the RPMs, let's just say on a Raptor as a 450, and that really helps that engine live.
Yeah, it's a big torque monster where you're just, cruising around, and you don't even realize how fast you're going, and you're doing 60 and you're in fourth gear going, oh, wow. And I'm not even half throttle. I mean, that's realistically the misconception of speed versus if you relate it to the vibrations you feel when you're sitting on it with the way the engine revs, you have no idea you're going that fast because the thing is so smooth, so luggable, and you're just out cruising and having a great time, and you're really hauling ass. Excuse my language. It's unbelievable. It's a great platform. I think that they would benefit by doing a better job with the standard suspension, maybe lowering the CG a little bit, widen it out a little bit. But for the general mass people that are going to buy that machine, you can jump on it immediately and go have a great time. I just get upset with the fact that some of the things they're doing to it electronically, but they're doing it to everything. So it's not something that we're shocked because it's happening. We knew it was coming. We just have to work with it to make it so that if you do want to do performance mods, you have to get rid of some of the snafus on it. But it's a great platform. The other thing we were going to talk about is hybrids. The industry's been building hybrids since the 70s, talking about the three-wheelers. I'm not sure the likelihood of the hybrid coming back if the factories don't do it to save the industry just because of the overall cost to build them.
Yeah, it's definitely an expensive thing. I mean, anytime you start getting into, kind of custom fabrication, I mean, I've wondered, but I also kind of have an answer in my head of, why doesn't Yamaha or Honda or somebody like that build a chassis that could accept 3 different motor packages from within its stable? And, you have the Yamaha that fits that 300 to 400 cc range, that 450, and then the 700, and it would cut their production cost. I understand there's sizes and things, and like I said, I could definitely see why they don't, but also I could see why you would. Yeah, hybrid stuff has been around for a long time. I mean, there's been custom builds. I mean, we've seen a lot of it in the desert, people putting XR 650 motors into stuff, KTM 525s. A lot of it, I think, too, goes back to the original origins there of that Lobo chassis, where it was a full aftermarket chassis with a 250R in it. Then there was that Dean Sundal thing, that chassis with the Banshee in it. So yeah, I mean, I guess if the factory's not going to step up and start building bikes for us to ride, somebody's going to have to. Is the answer making it some kind of easy thing where you can get online and literally go through a drop down menu and select what you either want to go ride or go race, and somebody builds you a bike based on that? I don't know. I don't know the answer on that one.
I've had some discussions with KO. When I hop off here today, I'm going to go play test rider for once instead of just cameraman. So it's just the 200. So I'm pretty sure I got it handled. But I've talked to KO USA about the little 300 that they have in Europe, and why don't they bring that 300 over here? And then another point of discussion that came up was, you guys have a 250 2-stroke engine that's based on the old Yamaha WR200 dirt bike enduro engine. Why can't you put that in a 4-wheeler frame? And I understand the whole green sticker, red sticker thing, and that there's no 2-stroke red sticker classification or something like that for ATVs, and that's why they don't do it. But their exact response was, and this may not be an official response from the head of the company, so this was kind of somebody a little bit down in the company, but they said that if we were to do it, we'd have to sell it direct to the consumer for closed course purposes only. And that got me thinking, like, perfect, do it. You know, because what stops the dealer? Like, sell it directly to the consumer, then send it to a local dealer to put the handlebars on it, bolt the tires to it, you know, collect $500 from the consumer for putting the bike together, assembling it and all that. Let them make a little money that way, or give them a kickback, whatever you got to do to work around the system to make it happen, or just sell it direct to the consumer, but use an engine like whatever, insert 2-stroke dirt bike engine here. Maybe you could buy motors from KTM. Why not just sell an ATV direct to the consumer? Because if you keep it simple enough in design that it's relatable to the average ATV mechanic, the guy can take it to a local dealer and get it worked on. As long as there's good parts available for it, then finding a mechanic to work on your ATV, if you don't want to do it yourself, makes sense. We see this in mountain bikes. There are quite a few direct to consumer mountain bike brands out there that, and we're not talking bikes direct, those are terrible frames, don't buy them. But you've got brands like Commensal, Nuke Proof. I think Nuke Proof is direct to consumer, I could be wrong. There's probably a half dozen, but I just can't think of them now because I'm on camera. But why not have a direct to consumer sport ATV brand where it's like, we'll send the crate to your house. We're going to use these kind of engines. Some parts are available there. We're building the frames and everything else. I think there's a space, and that's not even necessarily a hybrid. It's almost production at that point. But if you got to go direct to consumer to sell 2-strokes, somebody do it.
Yeah, something that you can, go direct. And then, I mean, that there's so many options of where you could go from there with bolt-on stuff, or, you know, people making up different motor mounts and everything else. I mean, it's just, yeah.
I think that's an excellent idea. I mean, I think that's an outstanding idea. If you could find the right power plant options for a brand that was just like, did exactly what you said, like, all right, we're going to build a core frame and it's going to be this geometry and it's going to be dialed, and we're going to sell different motor mount packages with different swappable engines. So your kid can race a 250 dirt bike this year in a 450, or a dirt bike engine this year in a 450 next year. Yeah,
and then it's, you know, in the world that I'm in now with the NASCAR super late model stuff, literally you get a chassis, any engine can go into it. You're just buying a different bell housing, radiator and motor mounts of it, and changing your front bumper cover. Literally the rest of the body is all the same, whether you're running a Ford, a Chevy, a Toyota. It's all just swapping over some wiring here and there. I mean, obviously there's some knickknacks, but I think that would be a great option for the ATV market, to have something along those lines of just a production style chassis with different options. And even then you could have some aftermarket company that, say you want to go buy plastic off of a Yamaha or a Honda or whatever, tabs up and that goes on there.
Yeah, I think that's freaking an awesome way to do it as well. So maybe we didn't dedicate enough time to the Raptor conversation, but next week we're going to be talking to Jeremy Osborne, the owner of Briarcliff, the man that's going to correct us on the mistakes that I made about the pro class for the ATV MX. You know, when you do the wrong research or research in the wrong place, there's always somebody that's going to figure it out. And, you know, you can go from there. And so he's agreed to come on next Sunday and talk with us. So Joe, I'm assuming that you're going to want to be part of that if you can, because you were part of the conversation I had about what the promoters were doing wrong and stuff. It's not your. I'm not saying that the part that was done wrong was you. It was me, obvious. But we've talked about the promoters, and we've talked about the definite things that need to change, especially in some of your entry level classes. So I'm assuming that you're going to want to be there, Joe.
I was so giddy to hear Jeremy Osborne straighten you out. I got to meet him a couple weeks ago. He went and filmed a long delayed 3-wheeler project at his track. He's a really nice guy. I was looking forward to him straightening you out, and then all of a sudden I'm like, gulp, like, oh, he's going to straighten me out too. But I'm glad to hear it's all about you, and I'll be happy to attend to watch the beating.
Yeah, it's long overdue. The man is not only an enthusiast. His daughter is an amazing rider. She was undefeated this year in the ATV MX, the women's pro class. She came on as a rookie last year and dominated, and then dominated again this year. So she's super fast, great family. Jeremy's probably not going to beat us up too bad. He's just going to be real nice and to explain where the errors of my ways were. But Robin's been around me a long time. He knows that I'm not always right, just most of the time. He's over there laughing right now, thinking he's got some stories, I'm sure.
If I just was going to say, we went to having gone to Briarcliff MX. If you're an ATV guy and you're having some trouble finding a track that'll let you run, and you're in that Ohio-ish area, they're east of Columbus, Ohio, so they're kind of pretty center in the state. And being an ATV friendly track, if you've never been there, I'd call them up, get on their Facebook page, find their website, find out when they're going to practice. It's probably worth visiting. It's a cool facility, good ownership, and very ATV friendly. So don't be afraid to take a day trip to a track that will support you riding your 4-wheeler.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry about that. I got somebody just messaged me and wants me to be someplace that I'm not ready to be. Jeremy's track is an amazing facility, and he always puts on a good show. All the nationals, all the events that they have that are sidebar to the racing, for the spectators. He is a guy that believes that you got to have spectators to make it go. And I don't think we could have picked a better guy to have on this show to talk to promoters and races and things like that. As always, gentlemen, I really do appreciate your time. Joe, I hope that you can give us some insights on some of your new projects that are coming out soon. I don't want you to give it all away in the beginning, but anything you could do to give us something to look forward to, that would be great. Next week, Barry Hawk's going to be on. He's been inducted into the Hall of Fame, so check that story out. It's pretty great to hear a man that was an ATV champion and then became a motorcycle champion, how humble he is and how grateful he is for where he's at in life. I think you'll really enjoy that show. So check it out next week. Robin, I always appreciate you coming on. I know you're a little off this week. You're coming off of an illness, but we'll get you back on so that you can make up for it on a later date.
I appreciate it. Thank you. No, always a pleasure. Just always anything we can do to help support the sport and everything. Definitely appreciate any opportunity. And Joe, maybe I'll try to contact you about doing some video stuff here.
Hey, hit me up.
Yeah, no, it'd be kind of cool. Have some interesting opportunities with that car, and we still have an old quad laying around as well.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, appreciate it, Joe. Remember, everybody, that's Joe Tolle from ATV On Demand and UTV On Demand. So go check him out, and I'm sure he's got something on there that all of you will love. Anything you want to say in closing, Joe?
I'm gonna go ride a 4-wheeler as soon as we hang up.
So your wife took out a policy that I was talking to her about on you?
Oh, it's just that little KO 200. We're gonna find out what that's all about, because we, number one, want to see how good it is. And number two, we want to use this video as a platform to try to politic them to bring the 300 into the States. I don't know if it'll have any effect, but we're going to try. But no, I'm going to go check out a new brand today that we haven't really checked out before. Dirt Wheels did a review on their bike a couple of years ago, and it came off pretty positive. And their former head editor, Carl Kramer, suggested we check that company out. So yeah, we're going to go. We've done a break-in ride, and today we're going to go out and thoroughly flog it.
Awesome. That's excellent. Let us know how that goes for you, and we'll get hopefully be able to promote it for you on the show here. Gentlemen, have an amazing Sunday. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Went a little quicker today because of our beginning discussion. And, we're going to have to, Joe, we're going to have to get really into that 700 of yours and, ride it, do the development work on it, and possibly get you out here to go down to Baja and look at the one that they're going to use in the desert down there, so that you can see some of the things that are going on down there. So
that would be fun. That would be a good time.
Oh, I think you'd have a blast. We have our camp director and my wife that can take us anywhere we want to go. And, she's obviously fluent because she's from there, and make sure that we don't get ourselves into trouble.
We still have the Ranger pre-runner too. Maybe we'll bring that thing out of retirement.
Right. No, I don't know if I want to. The last time I was in the Ranger pre-runner, it didn't go so well for me.
That's because you had your window down.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. You have a great day. Joe, thank you again. Robin, thank you so much. Everybody, the morning show, Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on YouTube. Please reach out to us in the comments, questions. Next week, we should have Valeria back with us. She's been on hiatus, taking care of dogs and going to Mexico and seeing her other portion of her family. But we'll get her back, and she'll have some better questions for you. Thank you guys so much. And again, have an amazing day.
Thanks, Lenny. See you guys.
Thank you.